Hi folks, Aid here from Wargaming for Fun. Today's battle report is the Warriors of Chaos versus the Royal Clan, one of the Dwarfen factions. Is of Infamy, I think it's called, or from the Arcane Journals. Like all YouTubers, I don't know anybody likes doing this, but if you could like the video, if you do like it, comment and subscribe to make sure you don't miss out in the future. Or if you could recommend it to anyone who you think might find value in it, please do. Your support does help, folks. It only takes a couple of minutes to click a like. And, you know, the algorithm seems to like that. And thank you for all those who do. This bat rep took place over New Year's. It was either New Year's Eve or actual New Year's Day. Andy and Rob from the club, or Andy Mull and Rob D from the club, came down for a game. And you can see it's my Warriors of Chaos that I'm working on at the moment against Andy's Dwarfs. And you might be looking at Andy's Dwarfs and thinking, where's the rest of the army? No, that's it. That's all there is. And usually when you see something like that on the table, you think, well, if there's not many of them, they must be good. And they are. Andy's a very good player from the club. He tends to play Dwarfs in most of the games that he plays. I know that he plays I don't think he plays Age of Sigmar. I know he plays Vote in 40k and he plays Dwarfs in this. I don't know if he plays Age of Sigmar. I've never seen him, but if he does, he'll be playing Fire Slayers or something like that. Okay, let's take you through the armies. So this is a unit of 27 Longbeards. They all have great weapons, heavy armour, shields. They're drilled. The champion in there has a rune of passage, which means they can move through cover. The standard bearer has the rune of courage, so they're immune essentially to terror and fear. They also have the rune of battle, which is their war banner. Total 468 points in that unit. And then there are 3 characters. Now at the back, and I have discovered something with this, if I put the pen on, at the back here, I would say circled, but that ain't a circled. Potatoed, because that's more of a potato shape than a circle, is a runesmith. That runesmith has full plate armour. He's also got a shield. He's also a BSB. He's got a master rune of Grungi, 5 up ward to the unit. Nice. And the rune of spell breaking. It's a single use dispel scroll essentially. He's 200 points. And then the king in the middle. And I will try and draw a circle, but again, it's going to be a potato. There we go. In the middle potato, you can see that king has a great weapon. Full plate armour, shield. He's the army general. There's shield bearers underneath him. He's got the rune of preservation. So he's immune to killing blow or multiple wound damage if ever he's hit by a cannon. He's got the rune of smiting, which is D6 damage. Yes, D6 damage. And he's got 2 runes of fury, which is an extra attack per rune. So he is 341 points on his own. Okay, so yeah, just to talk you through that, I have met this king before, so he's no surprise. But essentially, he gets 2 extra attacks. He's hitting you with a great weapon, and any damage that he does multiplies to D6 damage. So he's quite tasty, and he can't be killing blowed. Quite tasty. I think in the past I may have even hit him with a cannonball, and I don't think he takes the lookout, sir. He just takes it on the king because he knows he's only going to take 1 wound. Quite a tasty, yeah. And then here, oh, that's not even a potato. I don't know what that is. But this guy here, closest towards us, he is a Thane. He's got a handgun, full plate of armour, shield, he's on foot. He's got the Master Rune of Bursting, or Master Rune of Bursting Flame, I should say, Rune of Accuracy, and Rune of Rapid Fire. And essentially, he shoots you, and then it multiplies up to so many hits for each shot. A bit like the bombs out of the balloon for Cathay. Now, I tend to think it's this guy. This guy, every battle I've played him, I think I've played Andy 3 times in total. Over the past, since 1.5s came out. And this guy, he's just phenomenal. He's the one I always remember. He should have annals of historic events written about him, because he always does something that makes me smile in the game. I tend to think of him as Yosemite Sam, just running around shooting. Thank you, ChatGPT, for the graphic there. But in reality, he's more like Jonas Wixon, the way he goes around just killing everything on his own from miles away. He is definitely adds a bit of character to the army. Okay, so that's the first unit. The second unit is 18 Royal Clan Warriors, shields, heavy armour. They're also drilled. They're stubborn. They have a standard bearer with the Master Rune of Hesitation, so you don't get any charge bonuses for weapons or special rules. That unit comes in 279 points. Then we've got the Anvil of Doom. Now, in the old days, we used to call John, and my brother who used to play using one of these used to call it the Anvil of Boom, because in most games it would blow up, but they're a lot more stable than they used to. He's only got one rune, which is the Rune of Warding, which gives him a 2-up ward, a single use. And then on the hill, there's 15 Iron Drakes, armed with Drake guns, full plate armour, drilled. The Iron Warden has a Drake gun and Cinderblast bombs. The standard bearer has a Rune of Courage, so they ignore terror and fear. And they've also got the Stroller's Rune, which gives them a Vanguard move at the beginning of the game, which Andy sometimes takes, sometimes doesn't, but he's always got the opportunity to do so. And if you're only moving 3 inches in a move, an extra 3 inches at the beginning of the battle can help you out. Okay, so onto my army. So I've got a unit of wolves on the left hand side, dire wolves, next to my baggage train. Then I've got a dragon ogre. My dragon ogre here is, I say armed, he's wearing the black and plate. For those that don't know, the black and plate is full plate armour, or counts as full plate armour, but it also has a 3-up ward against flaming attacks, so he's going to be quite tasty against the guys on the hill, having a 2-up and then a 3-up save for anything that comes his direction. Then I've got 2 Chaos Spawns, both with the Mark of Slaanesh, which means they go first, even if they're charged. I don't think it would make that much difference with Dwarfs though, because they're only initiative 2, and a lot of Andy's stuff has great weapons. And then we've got the Gigantic Spawn in the bottom left-hand corner, or bottom right-hand corner, I should say, that is also armed with this He's also tooled up with the Spawn of Slaanesh. So all my chaos things have the spawn of the Mark of Slaanesh. Then I've got my Sorcerer Lord, Mark of Nurgle, so re-rolling 6s to hit. He's got Acid Ichor, so any damage he takes or any wounds he takes in combat incurs attacks essentially on the enemy. He's on the back of a Manticore, which gives him extra wounds. He's a level 4 wizard of demonology, and then he's got a Meteor Hammer and the Crown of Everlasting Life. So the Meteor Hammer is the one that always wounds on 3s, regardless of the toughness, and the Crown of Everlasting Conquest is the one that gives him regen. Next to him, we've got the Chaos Lord, armed with a flail, shield, Mark of Nurgle, so re-rolling 6s. He's my general. He's on a Chaos Dragon, so he's got 10 wounds to start with, and he's got 1 Favour of the Gods, which I always tend to give him now, because if I don't, I'm going to roll a 1 and he's going to be stupid, and then he's not going to follow my instructions. So yeah, essentially Chaos Lord in his underpants on the back of a dragon, and the Chaos Underpants do come with a 5-up ward, and he's exactly 500 points for that. In front of him I've got 25 Chaos Marauders, Flail, Shield. They all have the Unnatural Fortitude upgrade as well, which gives them +1 toughness, which makes them toughness 4. The headsman in there has a Charm Shield. He's also wearing a Brazen Collar, which gives that unit magic resistance 2. Also standard bearer. The standard bearers carrying the Monster Hunter's Tapestry, so they can't be stomped. And then next to him, or next to them, is my remaining Gigantic Spawn of Chaos on the Mark of Slaanesh. A unit of horsemen. They're not horse curls, they are horsemen. They're armed with flails, throwing weapons. They have the mark of, or they have the upgrade, which enables them to ambush, but I didn't ambush them. I can do them as skirmishers, but I didn't. I deployed them in open order. They also have the Unnatural Fortitude upgrade, which makes them toughness 4. The Horseman has the Brazen Collar as well, and the Standard Bearer has the Icon of Darkness, which makes them -1 to hit. It's a banner that Warriors of Chaos have access to. And then on the right flank is another unit of War Dogs. Now, the advantage to the War Dogs is they're 30 points, and you can see where your enemy's deploying, basically, before you have to start deploying the meat of your army. A couple of the spells I've got: Vortex of Chaos and Demonic Vessel from Demonology, and I also took the Mark of Nurgle. Now, it's only looking back now at my list that I see he was a level 4 wizard. I played him as a level 3, but magic didn't really come into it in the game, as you'll see. Okay, we're playing King of the Hill, and you can see we've got 2 hills because I own 2 hills, and then for the hill in the middle we're using this neoprene template that I usually use for the woods. We've got it because it's flat, but if you're on it, it's the hill, and there is a mark in the middle of that for the middle of the hill, and indeed the battleground. Now, this scenario does favour Andy. I'm aware of that. Every game he's ever played, I think, where he's with this army, King of the Hill, he's won. I know it's only come up once in the tournament, but he did win that convincingly against Empire, I think that was. Not against me, but against someone else. And then we've got 2 strategic locations, both worth 30 points. I think there's also one underneath this unit and one underneath there, but I'm not 100% sure of that from memory. It's been a week since we played. I don't think it came into it, as you'll see. My baggage train I've put behind the building here to minimise access to it, and Andy has put his behind his Temple of Doom. Just to remind you that if you are King of the Hill, that's worth 100 points per turn, and these are worth 30 points a turn. They can only be scored by core, and it has to be a unit strength of 10 or more. Okay, so Andy gets first turn. He takes Jonas Wixon out of his unit and moves him over to the side. His dwarfs march up, so they are towing the hill. So he's scoring that initially straight away from turn 1, and the rest of his army just sits back. From memory, he did measure to make sure that they were within 6 of this point, but even if they're not, his Longbeards still are. Okay, the guys on the hill, the Fire Drakes, they decided to just sit on the hill. They didn't see any value in coming forward to cover this point here for 30 points a turn, as Andy knows it's going to be tough for me to move him off this 100-point hill. Okay, so Jonas here takes a pot shot. That's his range. The warrior horseman on the hill, and even with a -1 to hit, he still kills 2 of them, because a single hit will explode, and it kills 2, because they're only light armor and shield, those guys. So if you do wound them, they do die quite quickly. But it does mean that this unit here is below unit strength 10 now, so my little plan of moving them up to sit on within 6 inches of this point and score me 30 points a turn ain't going to happen. Okay, so into my turn 1, I get +1 initiative off on my general, and I think I get +1 strength and toughness off on my sorcerer lord for the Marks of Chaos. I also cast Demonic Vessel on my sorcerer lord to give him +1 strength and +1 attack from memory, so he's getting quite tasty. And then for movement, I move up, everybody moves up. Basically, I'm hoping my unit of marauders and the unit of dogs can do something about Jonas here, and my 2 chaos unit, my 2 gigantic spawns of chaos have moved up as far as the dice allows them. The 2 normal spawns of chaos, yeah, we see these every day down the pub, have moved up again as far as the dice will allow them, and my 2-up, 3-up save guy here, the ogre dragon, or dragon ogre, has moved up as well towards the hill. Dogs at the back are just sitting back to stand by and watch the show, because if they move up, they'll just be evaporated by these guys with the Iron Drakes on the hill. Because they're on the hill, just to remind you that both ranks will be firing. Now, I moved my general here so I could have a cheeky shot at this unit. And you can see there's the flame template. And I got 4 partials, or 3 partials, and did no wounds. Nothing of consequence. This is mistake number 1. This here is mistake number 1. For the chance of a cheeky shot at this unit of over 1,000 points, I've put my general at risk. On a charge, when we measure in a bit, Andy needs 5 inches to make that charge. But it is my Chaos Lord, and if I'm being honest, it never entered my head that he would be charging this unit at my Chaos Lord. Now I look back, how the hell did it not enter my head? Of course he's going to charge him. Okay. And there you can see the movement. I think this photo is for thumbnails. I took a few photos throughout the game for thumbnails. It would have been casting magic. Yeah, it's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail. Yeah. So mistake number 2 on my part. Andy's unit here charges my Chaos Lord. I should have fled. I should have fled with my Chaos Lord, and he would never have caught him. And if I go back to the previous photo, previously, when Andy declares his charge here, he needs 5 to make it happen. If I'd have fled, which I should have done, my Lord would have popped out behind this unit and be safe down here somewhere. If he had then rolled a leadership test to redirect the charge, he would have gone into the Slanesh Beast. But I think that's unlikely because the distance, in order to do that, he would have to wheel all the way around here. And Dwarfs are only movement 3, so he would only have, even on a 6, a 9-inch move to wheel and then move. So I think this is the only viable target, and if I'd have fled, everything would have been fine. I say everything would have been fine. I was always up against it in this battle report, I feel, because, you know, it's King of the Hill, and it's 1,000 points of Dwarfs. You may as well have a tank there. You know, I'm not talking like a steam tank, I'm talking like a Land Raider from 40k, because they are so tough. My only chance against that unit is to hit them with all 4 of these at the same time and beat him in combat res. That's what I feel is my only chance. I knew this. I knew this when I started. I even said to them. And I remember when I moved my guy there and took some cheeky shots, both Rob and Andy seemed surprised that I had done that, and I couldn't work out why. Now I can. And then when he declared the charge, and I went hold, Andy did point out that in the last game where he fought a dragon, his king did 23 wounds on that dragon. 23 wounds. And I'm thinking, nah, I've got this. It's my Chaos Lord in his underpants on a dragon. I've got this. So, hold he did. Hold he did. So, yeah, we can see the charges there. My initiative buff is still there. Andy has charge. He's getting his full bonus of 3 because of going in. And, yeah, I think the Anvil of Doom and the Iron Drakes on top of the hill both take shots at the Dragon Ogre, and we can see the Dragon Ogre has 3 wounds left, so he's taken a wound from all that shooting, which is remarkable. That's what he was told up to do, and that's what he's done. So hopefully when it's my turn, this Dragon Ogre's going into the Anvil of Doom to do some wailing. Okay, here in the combat phase, I issue a challenge. So I'm just fighting the king. Yes, the king that did 23 wounds to the last dragon he fought. I've decided to challenge him. But if I don't, everyone gets to hit me. So I have to issue a challenge. Now, normally, it would be the unit champion Andy would put forward. But Dwarfs ain't normal. So he's putting his king forward. And Jonas here, you'll notice in this big vacated space, there are no Marauder horsemen to take care of him because Jonas Wixon has shot them off the table. I love him. I hate him and love him, but he's brilliant. I just love the idea of this Yosemite Sam character running around the table pistol shooting. I remember once having to run off from him with a Cathay balloon because the Cathay balloon was on 1 wound and he was shooting him across the table. He was like, run away! Yeah. Okay, so this token here, I think that was for a buff that he got off on the Anvil of Doom, which give them re-rolls wound, not re-rolls wounds, re-roll armor saves. Okay. Yeah, close up to show you they've gone. And then my Chaos Lord does all right in his undies. He's from memory, I didn't take any wounds. I think I saved a couple, might have been one. I think basically Andy fluffed his wounds, not his attacks. And again, it's memory, and there were several rounds, so I might be getting this slightly wrong. But 1 wound went through, and I saved it on a ward save, which meant I didn't get D6 wounds on my dragon, on my Chaos Lord, and my dragon and Chaos Lord went to town on the king, and you can see the king, and the shield bearers are down to 2 wounds. So that went my way. That said, I still lost combat because of all the combat res that's there, and I gave ground. I passed my test and just gave ground. And here we can see on my turn, I didn't go. I gave ground and Andy followed up, I should say. Then in my turn, the Dragon Ogre makes his charge into the Anvil of Doom. This Spawn of Chaos, if I go back a slide, this Spawn of Chaos rolls something like 16 or 17 on his 3 dice. And what he does is he goes into the back here. And we did double check it to make sure he was allowed to do that. Essentially, he's only allowed to wheel on his compulsory move. That's the only thing he can do as regards manoeuvring. And he managed to do like a semicircle from there into the back of that unit there. So that went well for me. And my Sorcerer Lord, who is tooled up. Now, if we look here, he's got +1 attack. He's got +1 leadership. And he's got +1 strength. And those 2 are ever going. I think as well at this point, I'm not 100% sure, but I think at that point he's managed to get the Mark of Nurgle off as well, that spell, which makes him +1 toughness, so he's toughness 5. Okay. I don't have a lot of shooting, in that my Dragon Lord is the only one who shoots with his breath, which has led to all of this problem. So, because I gave ground and Andy followed up, this challenge is still competing. And I'm quite optimistic about it. Because my Chaos Lord has got to put 2 wounds on this fella. And my Chaos Lord, I think the order of play is that it's my Chaos Lord first. Then, I think even my dragon gets to go. And then the king will attack me. And then I'll get stomps. So I'm quite confident that this guy here has done it. I think my gamble has paid off. What could possibly go wrong? This gigantic Spawn of Chaos with the Marcus Hanesh will be going first into the back of the Longbeards. And because this fella here, this runesmith here, is giving the whole unit a ward save, 5 up. So what I'm thinking is my Manticore and Sorcerer Lord put everything they have into him to kill him at their initiative level, which should drop the 5 up ward. This guy's going first anyway, so that because he's got all strikes first from the Marcus Lanesh, he's going into the rear of the unit, and my Dragon Ogre in there. So that's where the attacks. This fella's attacking the unit. This fella's attacking the king as part of the challenge, and this fella's putting everything he has onto the runesmith. And I think this is after combat. Yes, this photo's after combat. You can see my gigantic Spawn of Chaos, who's performed really well, managed to go all the way around in a semicircle and charge these in the rear, killed a dwarf. 1. Yeah, 2d6 attacks He's done 1 wound. And the dwarfs have done 1 back. Because, essentially, because this isn't a challenge, these 2 ranks here, because it's a challenge, those are all going that way. And those are all going that way. This challenge continues, which meant there's 8 guys out of this entire block who didn't get to fight. We'll say 9 because I think my gigantic spawn of chaos killed him first. And with the counter-attacks into the gigantic spawn of chaos, I'm down to 5 wounds, so he's taken a wound. This guy's down to 7 wounds, so the runesmith took nothing. I'll just say that again. The sorcerer lord with +1 strength, +1 leadership and +1 attack on the charge with the manticore and a weapon that always wounds on a 3-up with -3 AP did nothing to the runesmith. It just bounced off. And then, so the king's got 1 wound. The sorcerer lord managed to do 1 wound. And then I think he got 2 wounds through, which multiplied. So my chaos lord's on 1 wound. Yes, he did 8 wounds to my chaos lord on the dragon. Not the 23 that he's done in the past. So I feel my general is holding up under the pressure, but he couldn't put 2 wounds on the king with his dragon. So it kind of went wrong. Oh yeah, I also rolled a 5 on him, so he's got +1 attack as well. So essentially 12 wounds plus the stomps went into the king and did 1 wound. And he did 8 back. No, 9 back, isn't it? Because he was on 10 wounds, he was on full wounds, and now he's on 1, so he's took 9 wounds. So we did that's the combat res. I did 5 in total. That includes the flank charge, folks, and all the wounds I did. And that's what Andy did in return once we came to this all up. Yeah, so I lost that combat res. All my plans, which were going so well a few minutes ago, not so well now. I mean, everything that I could have wished to have happened pretty much happened last round. This round, I'm lucky to be alive. Yeah. So, yeah. So, the result of that, I roll a 10 on my leadership 9. So, he is fleeing. I mean, he would be fleeing anyway, even if I'd rolled a fallback in good order because he double outnumbers me. But he's well and truly fleeing. And then what's happened here, if I explain it, my general has fled. These marauders failed their panic check. So they fled or fall back in good order because I think it's the same as a shooting attack. If you're over half wounds, you fall back in good order. You don't panic off the table. So initially my general flees. Bear in mind, folks, this is my turn. This is my turn. This is after me charging. So my chaos lord flees through my units of marauders and lands the back of them, and that's where he fit. And because these panicked and fell back in good order, they fled back through the sorcerer lord. This guy just fell back in good order. This guy panicked and fled because he was on a double 1 basically. Again, because of the double outnumbering, he can't fall back in good order. He will flee, even if I roll. You know, the difference between his leadership and the double 1, he fled. Yeah, because of the thing. This guy didn't take a test because, like I've said in the past, the Spawns of Chaos are loosely aware that there's a fight going on. They're just there for the meat. And you can see this token here hasn't moved. This wound marker hasn't moved. Andy on his overrun rolled that far. Now all he has to do in his turn is declare a charge against my lord, and my lord, who is fleeing, has to flee again, and there's no room between this unit and the edge of the table, so this fella is about to be no more. He won't be killed because he's on 1 wound. He'll be off the table licking his wounds. In the fight here, I think I knocked a wound or two off on the Anvil of Doom. He knocked... Oh, no, yeah, there's no wounds on me because I took a wound from shooting, so I win that. But because the Anvil of Doom is up against the terrain feature, which the baggage train is classed as, he can't go back anymore. So he doesn't give ground, and I don't move forward. We just stay where we are. Andy then decides to charge the Marauders and makes the charge. These tokens here are left from me taking my general off. I didn't tidy up like I should have. So that's the only movement, I think. Yeah. The guys, the Iron Drakes and the Warriors just sit back and watch. And I think Jonas takes some cheeky shots against the Spawn of Chaos, but doesn't do anything. Now, at this point, I'm thinking Jonas Wixon should be the thumbnail. But now it has to be the king on the back of the shield bearers for the thumbnail. And I think that's the one that I am going to use in the end. I haven't done the thumbnail as yet, but I do think that's the one I'm going to use. Dragon Ogre dies to the Anvil of Doom in the next round of combat. And that's how many casualties the Longbeards do. Now, everything I could put on the king, I did. I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 attacks, but they all went into the king, didn't wound him. I don't think I did any wounds, but you can see there the double one. These Marauders stepped up when they needed to, and I roll a double one and just give ground. It used to be called Insane Courage or something like that, but double one. They're still there despite taking 5, 10, 11 casualties to the great weapons of the Longbeards. Okay, other things that happened that turn, which I didn't take a photo of. If I zoom in there, yep, this fella's down to 2 wounds, so he would have been shot at by the Iron Drakes on the hill. And at the beginning of my turn, he still doesn't rally. He's still fleeing. Yep, I gave ground here, and he has followed up. The Spawn of Chaos is shuffling his way across the table to try and charge these in the rear, hoping my guys can hold out for another round. It's unlikely they're going to roll 2 double ones though. And the gigantic Spawn of Chaos and one of the regular Spawns of Chaos has gone into the unit of Dwarf Warriors, trying to get some points on the board. They lose and give ground. I think I may have put a wound or 2 on this unit of Warriors. I think they went sword and board, so they're saving on a 3-up basically. Heavy armor shield with parry takes them to a 3-up. And although I've got some armor penetration, it's not enough to get through. And then he beats me in combat risk because I don't do any wounds. The gigantic Spawn of Chaos hasn't taken any wounds, but Andy knows he doesn't have to. He can beat me. As long as he's stopping me cause wounds, he's going to beat me through combat res. This Spawn of Chaos has taken a couple. I can't remember if they're 2 or 3 standard, but he has taken wounds. Yeah, I killed 2 dwarfs. Then it's then it's combat round 2. Again, everybody who can is trying to finish off the king, and you can see not as many as last time died, but quite a few. I think there's 8 casualties. Can I roll a double one? No, I roll a 3. I needed a double one. I got a 3. So this time they are fleeing off the table, and I think Andy restrains and reforms. Yeah, there's my 3. Nearly, but not quite there. So, yeah, my guys are off the table. He restrains and reforms, ready for the charge of the gigantic Spawn of Chaos, which may be happening next turn. Not sure what that dice is for. Oh, yeah. So, this must be Andy shooting. 7 wounds from the Iron Drakes onto the Sorcerer. I save 4. I think I'm saving on 3s and roll 2 2s and a 1, and my Sorcerer Lord is now dead. One fight, flees, and then is shot off the table after not rallying. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know whether these shuffled back, forward. If anything, they probably moved slightly. No, because they restrained and reformed, so they just pivoted, didn't they? And then here, Andy doesn't pursue me at all. Why would he? He's just going to sit back and wait for the charge again, just scoring points as he goes through. This unit here is within points of that, so they're scoring 30 points a turn, and this unit here is scoring 30 points a turn. I don't have anything on the table to score anymore. Okay, my turn again. Everybody goes back in. It's pretty much auto charges. So all my gigantic spawns of chaos go in, and my gigantic spawn of chaos goes in. He can't challenge because he's a monster. There's no challenge mechanic, but he puts everything he can because he has the Mark of Slanesh. He's going first. He's putting everything he has into the king and kills him. Manages to do the last wound, which kills him. Yep, I think that was photo opportunity there to remind me the king has died. And then then the rest of the Longbeards take objection to me killing their king, and it would have been, I don't think it was all of them, but anybody who could attack from these two rows here, did and killed him. Yeah, he had 6 wounds. He's only got a heavy armor. He's only got the equivalent of heavy armor, and these are using great weapons. So anybody who causes a wound on him, it's a wound. There's no save because he's got the Mark of Slanesh instead of the Mark of Nurgle. He doesn't have regen. He is always striking first, and there's enough wounds to put him down. He's only weapon skill 3 as well, so he's wounding. He's hitting me on 3s and wounding me on, what would they be? That'd be 6s. So wounding me on 4s, and he got enough through to kill me. Here we can see the little spawn of chaos. He's down to 1 wound. There's no wounds on the gigantic spawn of chaos on the right, and this was a push as they're both still there, because if I win or if it's a push, nobody moves because Andy's pinned up against his baggage train there, that base representing the baggage train. And then in Andy's turn, the Iron Drake's on the hill, lock and load and pivot so they can see all the spawns of chaos. Now they've killed the Sorcerer Lord, and this fella here, Jonas, he moves up behind the dwarf unit for protection, and he can shoot the gigantic spawn of chaos because the gigantic spawn of chaos is a large target, so he can be seen. These fellas can see over the top of this one because they're on a hill, and you can see over units if you're in a hill. So these have a choice of shooting the gigantic spawn of chaos or the little guy, and he can only shoot the gigantic spawn of chaos. This is turn 5, and there you can see some chockies, some cans of pop that Rob bought with him. Leftovers from Christmas, apparently. Very welcome. Yep, another photo of that. And then you can see, through combat, this fella's down to 1 wound, and the little spawn of chaos is dead. This one has some wounds, but I can't see. On that, it looks like after the Thunderers, not sure of the order of events, but essentially he's dead as well. I've put him on his side, so he's either dead through the combat or Jonas finished him off. I suspect Jonas put some wounds on him last turn, and then I've charged him in again, and he's died. Yeah, and then in Andy's turn, he moves up to the middle, so he's king of the hill again. And I think I've got 2 packs of dogs left that are out of range on the table. This fella isn't running away. I've just picked him up as a casualty and put him there because Boot Hill in this corner is quite full, unlike his Boot Hill in that corner. If we go to the next one, there's my pack of dogs, which is doing nothing. If they were worth 2 points each, unit size of 2 points each, then they would be counting points on that, but they're not. And that's the end of the game. We can see the difference in the Boot Hill sizes is immense. So, we've got Andy king of the hill. We've got the points here for those that are interested. If I zoom in, it's a bit blurry, but you can see he's well ahead of points, and he's also well ahead because he's killed my army. I've literally got 60 points worth of dogs left on the table. That's all I've got left at the end of turn 6. So my plan didn't work. I can't even say it was a mistake because he did tell me. And when I moved him where I did and took the cheeky shots, and his eyebrows almost left his head as if to go, that's not a move I would have done. And then when I didn't flee, he did tell me, this guy's done 23 wounds. And to be fair, my incompetence almost paid off. But it didn't in the end. He well and truly drove that nail into the ground, grief. A comprehensive win, 6-0, 20-0, whatever Scale you're going to use, I got nil in that. It was great fun though. Great fun, as always. Some photos of Boot Hill, Andy's Boot Hill and my Boot Hill. And to be fair, that's not all my Boot Hill, because there's the other Boot Hill with my characters. Essentially, I took this photo because this guy is what remains of a character that's been dropped, a resin model that's been dropped. And if anybody knows, if you drop a resin model, they shatter to glass. But it reminds me of, the old cartoons where someone would get blown away or blown up and all you see was a pair of smoking shoes. After the dwarfs had run over me, that's what my army was left. Just a pair of smoking shoes in the middle of the table. Again, folks, I don't know if you like me rambling on or not. You must really like Old World if you're willing to put up with this drivel. But if you have, please, if you're still here, please like the video. Give me a comment on what you think. How you would play that scenario different playing King of the Hill. I think what I should have done is ignored the unit in the middle, accepted I was going to lose, and just tried to kill everything else on the table. Because the thing with the dwarfs is they're not quick. King of the Hill does suit them because they move into the middle and stay there. But, I didn't have to do that, what I did. I could have killed the other stuff and then come back. I did feel that I was always up against it in King of the Hill with dwarfs, and especially this list. However, I didn't help myself with some of those decisions. Still, you gotta laugh. Thanks again for watching, folks. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.